So when you get to the houses of concern, we have three areas that we're really concerned about. We're concerned about how much money and what resources I have, what talents I have. We're concerned about the status and the career that I have, where I can make money, where I fit into the world, what honor and respect I'm going to get. And we're concerned about what skills I have and what things I can do so that I can maintain the job better and make money. So these are all the practical earth houses of concern. So concerned about my resources and my values. So that's Mercury. It doesn't have to just be money, but it's my values, it's what I believe, it's what I want. And it's going to do a lot of thinking of having things and how to get what I have, how to have things, how to get what I want, and accumulate things. That's for me. It's not thinking about taxes, it's thinking, well, this is mine. It's not thinking so much what everybody else gets. It's just my resources, my clothes, my home, my things that I own, and my talents, and whether I'm using them or not, or whether you stand up for your own values. So when it's the 10th house, it's honor, status. I'm concerned about my career, who I know, how people think about me, what I'm doing, and that if I promise I do so, I can achieve things. I got my books written. I'm helping people. I'm working for this company. They rely on me. They come to me. So I'm concerned about my honor and status. So Mercury's up here in the 10th house. And Mercury in the 6th house is the duty or the improvement, the skills. I got this job. It's really a house of service. How can I be of service? You're thinking about the things you can do that can adjust to people and can improve. If I know somebody's unhappy in a relationship and something's not working, I learn how to fix something, and they'll be glad to call me to clean their place or to fix their place or to do something. And I got skills, and if I use those skills, I can get money. So you can have skills to get money even if you don't have status. But once you get certain skills, depending on which skills, depending how much money you get, what skills you develop, and how well you perform with them, you'll get a certain honor for achieving things. If you always fix my sink and you can always fix my plumbing and it's always done properly without excessive expense, you're going to have the honor. People are going to talk about you. That's your status. But it's because you're doing your skills properly and you do it well. You've learned how to do something. You've learned a trade. Okay, so these tell you, take away the money, it's harder to maintain status or do the same thing. So you take away the skills, it's harder to get the same money, hard to get the same status. Take away the status, you're working for nothing. So these are puzzles, but when Mercury's there and you're seeing something, it sometimes gives you the idea of, wow, well, this is how I work with Mercury. I'm not just saying, it's not just you're thinking about money, thinking about health, or worrying about health, it can be that. But really, you're trying to figure out how to be useful or how to use money. Your mind is trying to figure out these areas and expand it as much as possible. But your mind can expand it, then the rest of your chart has to live up to it and follow the mind and make it happen or not. But a good plan, a good mind never hurts. When you get to the 3rd houses of relationships, we have 3 types of relationships. We have a relationship to our own motivation and how we express ourselves, our own intelligence, our common sense. We have a relationship to partners. Are you married or not married? How you share ideas and information. And we have friends and enemies up in the 11th house. In a lot of astrology, they put the enemies in the 12th, but really it's your associations to people, good and bad, in the 11th, and your conscience of who you attract, good or bad, what you're putting out to attract those friends in the 12th house. But the 11th house, you're thinking about your status, your friendship, who you know. I know so-and-so, I know so-and-so, and you're thinking about those things and participating. In the 7th house, you're thinking about your partner and what they're thinking and sharing and how we're working together. And then in the 3rd house, you're just using your own ideas, community, thinking about what you're thinking and developing your thoughts, where you've come from, what happened to you. So on one level, someone could be very deep and be talking about their spiritual depth. Another person could be just talking about everything that happened to mom or everything that happened to family. They're always talking about their home and their kids. They're always talking about their personal things. That's very different than talking about who knows who or friends, different about partnerships. So these are the 3 areas of relationships, the air houses. If you want, there's a good book on the houses. It goes a little bit more into it, calls them more the earth, fire, water, air houses, but it's by Stephen Arroyo, Astrology, Psychology, and the 4 Elements. And it's a really nice exploration into the houses. It stretches the way you think a certain amount. It doesn't go into the quadrants like we do, but it still stretches the way you think on another level, useful. Okay. Dane Rudger's book on the houses, The Astrological Houses, A Spectrum of Individual Experience. It is on the web. I haven't seen it as an ebook or digital, but it's a really good book to have because it really goes through the sequence of the houses. So it holds a little bit more to the way we do the subjective objective. Doesn't use exactly the same words, but it's close enough to see it. So when we get to the water houses, or the houses of reward, these are the emotional houses. Our Mercury in the fourth house is my security, my home, my security, how I feel about myself, my integrity. This is all my personal integrity within myself. This is thinking subjectively very deeply. The eighth house of thinking of mutual resources and thinking about what we have to trust and how we share. And I've done this, you do this, and the expectations around it. That's Mercury in the eighth house of trust and resources, of shared resources. And the other area of rewards is your conscience. Mercury in 12th can be very conscientious and under-recognized, or it can be very loud and very disassociated. Usually there's a need to be fairly discriminate and conscientious about anything you say. And it's easy to say things that hurt other people. So you have to learn not to be flippant, to learn to be cautious about what one's saying, and you learn who's worth talking about, you learn where to align. So there's the conscientiousness that affects your thinking. The business, the trust, the sharing, the being involved, your Mercury can get, it's easy to see how your mind can get pulled into all of these ideas. And it's not that the mind isn't thinking about everything, it just has a priority on the area that it's in. So if someone's priority mentally is if Mercury's in the fourth house in security and they're thinking about security, their sun is going to be in the third, fourth, or fifth house. It's going to be close. And it's going to be a low profile person that's going to be really concerned about security, their home, their person, their family, these things, more than what's going out in the world. So you work around it like this. You just get familiar with it. And here I put the main keywords. I every now and then I keep changing these because there's many different words you can use. That's why I hope you downloaded the files here. I put a house keywords. They're just extra thoughts about each house. Keywords about house, more traditional. But the duty house is the house of health, sickness, service, but it's also a house of improvement. So it's your duty to improve things. So duty, that was the Mark Edmund Jones would call it duty. I think I'm inclined to I would be inclined to call it a house of self-improvement. That would be a more positive expression for that one. The partnership trust, some people would call business, and any kind of sharing or inheritance is all based on your trust, on sharing together and putting things together. Morality, I would often change morality. It's usually called the house of philosophy. Morality is kind of tied in with consciousness, but I think because it's a social judgment and we're all Christian or we're all Muslim or all this, our morality tends to be more of a ninth house thing, whether a sense of what is right and wrong, of how, see, it's hard between how many people know. So principles, ethics would probably perhaps be a better word up here than morality, but morality is close. But morality is also, could be put 12 in the sense it's your conscientiousness of what's right and what's wrong, what's fair, what's not fair, what can you live with, what can't you live with. But how much, really, it's how well do you practice what you preach. If you have a philosophy or morality and you live up to it, you'll attract people who do the same. If you have a morality or an ethics and you don't live up to it, you'll attract the same. And you have your, how come I'm attracting these people? So these are outer social puzzles. So these keywords, honor, it could be career, it could be status, could be respect, the things you do for respect, and negative, disrespect, dishonor. All the keywords can be positive or negative. They affect areas that align with this type of thinking, with this type of concern. Friendships and enemies. So friendship, I'd keep it like that. Teamwork. Identity, that's pretty well your self-identity. It is pretty much first house. Values, you'd often see as money or resources. But people tend to forget your talents are your resources as well, and how well do you use them. So I've settled at values on that. Expression, common sense, it's often called short travels, brothers and sisters. It's like where you're familiar and it's easy to talk with the people you know. This is your your personal thinking and common sense. So how you express yourself, or like people, a lot of people with the Mercury's here, writers, teachers, they use their mind and they express where they're coming. Doesn't mean they fit in. Doesn't mean they're accepted. It's just their strength is in their ideas. Their ideas are going to express themselves. Whereas someone with the Mercury in the fourth house of security, that's home or that's mother, they're taking in, they're feeling secure, but just because they're feeling secure, they have a great imagination, but they may not express it outwardly. They may just keep it into themselves. That's not a bad thing either. So performance, play, yeah, performance is kind of the best, but some people put children here, some people put children in the eighth house, the results of the partnership. But I think the cost of children and the attitudes in which you bring them up and what you're willing to pay for, what you have to do for it, that's the eighth house. The performance and the play, that's the fifth house. Okay, so the keywords are there just to remind you, but these all are fitting into these areas. So we're stretching our awareness of what the houses do. And as we do it, when we see a planet come into a certain area, all of a sudden we've got an ace, or we've got a special thing, a special quality that's working, that's giving us a little extra energy in this area. So wherever Mercury is, it's letting you think a little better. It's letting you be a little smarter about that area. And you'll know a bit more about that area for better or worse, and it's yours to express out. But there's 12 different areas to be mentally focused on. So when we get to interpretations, we try and merge the signs, the planets, the houses, and the aspects all together, and we start seeing how these things work. But to do it as a therapy, to do it really seriously for someone, it's going to take you 4 or 5 hours to work Mercury through the signs, Mercury through the houses and the aspects, to see how it comes together for a person's chart, how they think. And then even then you have to observe how they're using it. You can't see someone's good or bad from the chart. You see the challenge, you see stress, you see not stress, you see certain challenges. Then you have to observe how the person's using it to be able to see if they're, whoa, why are they using it like that? That could be done better. Or you might see, it's easy to say, but when it's your Mercury, you got to work it through and figure it out for yourself, or with the help of friends or other people. But it's how your intelligence grows. Anyone's been around 34, anyone's been around 60 years, they have their intelligence about what the world's like. It's not going to be easy to change that. And not everybody has it all together. Not every old person is a good teacher, but they have learned from their experience. So there's something to learn from them.